Welcome back, everybody. I wanted to do a basic color mixing demonstration for you using acrylic paint. I have cobalt blue, I have a cadmium yellow, a cadmium red, also black and white. And I'm working on a large sheet of glass. I usually lay out my colors kind of in a spectrum on the edges of the glass so that I can work in the middle. I'm working with metal palette knives that have kind of an L shape, and I'm trying to keep my mixes really nice and clean. So this red that I have here, I've got quite a bit of it. I'm going to scoop some of it up, move it over to the center here. So that I can start mixing a base orange. Before I touch my yellow to make my orange, I'm going to wipe this excess paint off of my palette knife so it's nice and clean. That way I won't get red into the yellow. Grab about equal amounts or as close to it as I can get. And I'm going to start making a mixture by kind of swirling these together, scooping them up, flipping it over, swirling again. What I want is a really thorough mix, and I don't want to do this mixing with the paintbrush because quite often you'll end up with pigment stuck in the metal portion of your brush, which is known as the ferrule, and in that area sometimes the pigment will get stuck in the metal part that holds the bristles to the handle, and then as you're working with it, it'll drift down and you start getting large streaks that come out as you're painting. So I always try to mix as much as humanly possible with my palette knife. We want to mix until things are very thoroughly combined. Now, red is a very powerful pigment, especially against this particular yellow. Add some more. Add a bit more to my stock as well. And it's a little closer to a true orange. There we go. And I'm mixing a fairly large amount because I'm going to subdivide this orange to make red orange and yellow orange. So I do want a fairly large amount of it to start with. I still think we can go lighter than that. Almost there. Just a touch more. That's what I get. All right, so now I have red, yellow, and orange in fairly large amounts. I'm going to subdivide this and take some of the orange over here, some of my base orange over here. The colors at the top of the palette here, red, yellow, and blue, of course, are my primaries. I've just mixed two primaries together to create a secondary. Yellow plus red equals orange. I'm now going to make tertiaries by taking those two colors, the orange that I've divided now into three parts. I'm going to make a tertiary called yellow-orange. I'm mixing more yellow into this portion of the mix. I'm going to make a red-orange here by mixing more red into that section. The tertiaries are always named for the color that is more dominant in the mixture. So this is going to be my yellow-orange. It's going to have far more yellow mixed in, which will make it, of course, much lighter. Notice, though, that as I mix, it is a little bit less intense than the base primaries. That will also happen, of course, if I were to mix in any other color. If I tried to modify this by adding a blue, black, white, the intensity would lessen. So now I have orange, yellow orange, and now I'm going to make a red orange. So you can see that I have different values achieved here through these different mixes. The originals are still clean. I have my mixed nearly 50-50 in a perfect world orange. I have my yellow orange that has more yellow in the mix and my red orange that has more red in that mixture. So primaries, secondary, tertiaries. Let's try mixing up the green now. I'm going to take some of my blue, a really large amount. Cleaning the knife in between as best I can. Some yellow. And like the red, cobalt blue is a pretty powerful pigment. I'm really going to need more yellow here again. Just fine. I can just keep adding to my base starting color. So of course, each brand of paint is going to have slightly different pigmentation depending on which specific blue, red, and yellow you've purchased. You may find that your green is a little more emerald or slightly earthier. What we're trying to achieve in this mixture is just to see what we can make with these paints that we have available. Of course, they do make greens. You can start with those, but we want to get used to creating these colors as much as we can ourselves from primaries. There we go. I still want just a little more yellow in there. I'm going to divide this now. Create a yellow green, adding yet more yellow to this section. I'll create a blue-green by adding more blue to this. Great. Okay. So again, I have primary colors, secondaries here, green and orange. And then my tertiaries, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red, orange. Let's also try playing around a little bit with tints and shades. Tints and shades are made by adding white or black to your base hue. White will lighten the color, of course, and white will create what we call the tints. When we add black, we're creating darker values that we call shades. So I'm going to start here manipulating this red-orange. Take that amount and divide it also, again, in half or close to it. Now the white and black are also rather powerful. The black is the most powerful pigment that you have. So on this area that I'm making a little darker, I'm going to start very conservatively. I'm taking very, very small amount of black and mixing it in with this mixture. And you see that it gets darker almost instantaneously. To demonstrate that more clearly, I'll start creating a little bit of a value scale here. Here's my base red-orange. Here's now a slightly darker shade. Some more black. Mix that in with the mixture I just made to make it even a little darker. So you can see that I can really create a wide range of values, but the color is becoming less intense each time I darken it. That would happen if you added in the complement. The complement of red is green. The complement of orange is blue. So a blue-green added to this would darken it, dull it, would also make it less intense. So notice again that a very small amount of black is what's necessary to create this darker value. If I add a much larger amount, and a much darker value quite quickly. There you go. I can start working with the white to create my tints. First, I'm going to clean up that little bit of red orange that I accidentally spilled into my yellow green. Again, I'll take a little bit of base, get going. Mix a small amount of white in there, and you'll see right away it starts to change that color quite a lot. I can definitely see some changes happening there. And by working in this way, I have a variety of colors available to me. They'll stay workable on the palette, on the glass for quite a long time. And I'll be able to make a mixture really quite simply by just wiping the excess ink or paint rather off of my palette knife and scooping from my vases, trying to keep those clean. And that way I can really start to command a wide range of intensities of color, of value, and of color mixes. There we go. So that's the basics of making secondaries, tertiaries, and tints and shades.